It's late August as I'm filming this video, and this time of year the flies can get pretty bad in the cows. Every year when we gather the cattle in the spring, we give them a fly treatment, and some years that treatment will last all the way until fall, but this is not one of those years and we need to do something about it. That's what we're doing today on Farmer Tyler Ranch. To combat the flies this year, we're taking a two-pronged approach, and it might be a little bit of overkill, but I think that I would rather sort of overdo it and have it be effective than to apply one of these things and have it not work that great. So the first thing that we're going to put on is ivermectin. This pours on their back. It's ready to go as is. I've got the applicator here in the side-by-side, so we really don't need to do anything with that. The other thing is a permethrin spray. Now that is sort of a contact kill, and what we'll do with that is sort of spray on their shoulders and on their back, the spots where the flies really like to gather, and that should help with an instant kill to the flies that are there and any that might want to come there in the near future. The permethrin is a concentrate though, so we need to mix it up first before we can spray it on the cows. Permethrin has quite a few different applications for a few different animals, and each one of those applications requires a different dilution rate. For what we're doing, which is basically what I would describe as spot treatments on cattle, they recommend that you run 2 ounces of permethrin per 1 gallon of water. The other thing that I add to this mixture is some Dawn dish soap. And the reason that I do that is because I feel like that is going to help this solution stick to the cows better, and it should help it last a little bit longer. Since this isn't really an official ingredient, there's no real recommendations as far as how much you should put in there. So this is one of those things where you just kind of use your best judgment, and good enough's good enough. The reason that I add the water first and then the chemicals later is because if I was to put the Dawn dish soap in this tank before I had any water in there, and then I brought a hose over here and filled this up, the foam and the suds would be out of control. It would take me a really long time to get as much water in here as I wanted. So if you're wondering now, well, how am I going to mix this solution up? That's one of the nice things about this pump that I have, or the way it's plumbed at least, is they have a little return line here. If I open this valve, then the pump will just circulate what's inside the tank, and it should mix everything up really well. I can go ahead and turn this pump on, get this circulating, and we can run down to the ranch. I don't know if you guys can see down there, but this road has a ton of crows on it, and you might look at that and think that's kind of odd. Why would all those crows want to be landing on this road? Well, the reason for that is that that is a telltale sign that they're draining these rice fields because they're getting ready to harvest. And when they drain the rice fields, what happens is there is an excellent food source for these crows that emerges and starts to leave the rice field in an attempt to go somewhere else and find water. Let me look around and see if I can find what I'm talking about. Folks in the South, I'm sure, are plenty familiar with crawdads. I don't know, people in other parts of the country or parts of the world, maybe they've never seen these before. So basically, what those crows are going after, it's kind of like a mini lobster is what it is. There's a lot of good meat here in his tail, and this guy's actually really small. Let's see if I can find a bigger one. But this would make a great meal for a crow, and I'm just gonna set him back down and let nature do what it does, I guess. We're back here at the ranch now, and it looks like all the cows are kind of crowded around the gate here to come into the corral. They heard me roll in and they know that it's their day to get a new pasture, so that's probably why they are being so obnoxious right now. But because of the way they're gathered around that gate, if I try to drive out there, then probably what'll happen is they'll all scatter back out into the field. So I think because when the guy was putting the hay in the barn, he spilled a stack, and I've got a few bales right down here convenient. I'll just toss them in the corral. That should tempt everybody to come in, and then I can run down there and close that gate and we'll have them. Well, I would say that certainly worked to get them in. Now the hard part is going to be running up there and getting that gate before they try to beat me to it. Well, they didn't race me too good that time, which is fine because it allowed me to get the gate shut with no problem. But while we're right here close to the cows, you can just see how bad the flies are. We're gonna take care of that right now. You guys, come on now. Don't you be that way. Alright, you guys want to reset? Sometimes when things aren't working, you just got to reset. Let's try it again. You guys would be out on your grass right now if you cooperated. If only there was a way to make you understand that. Get up! Get up! Come on! Ew, shame, shame. What good did it do you? Get up! Come on! And then, for seemingly no reason at all, they just all start going. I never understood that, but, well, there'll be a few stragglers, certainly. There always is. Hey! Well, I got the cows rounded up and I had to get a pile of them done first before I could start filming for you guys. You might be able to hear my voice. I'm a little bit hoarse from hollering at them. What was going on is that in this little corral here, it was so crowded that really I thought it was too crowded and I needed to quickly move some cows through the chute to make a little bit more room in there. When the corral is overly crowded, things like this happen. It's a good thing I had the side-by-side park there to kind of hold this fence up, but yeah, we've definitely got some repairs to do. Well, let's go ahead and run a group in here and let me show you what I'm doing. Hey. That's all right. That's It's a better number here anyway. Get up, girls. Hey, don't you do it. Hey. Other way, other way. Hey, come on now. Don't you look at me like that. I know what you're thinking. Hey. Hey. Come on.
Once the cattle are in the tub and heading the right way down the chute, this is actually a really quick process. First, they get drenched with ivermectin according to their weight. Then they'll get sprayed down with fly spray. I try to get good coverage on their back and sides where I know the flies like to hang out. And that's really all there is to it. With this group, there was no need to lock anybody in the chute because everybody looked fine, so I just opened up the head gate and sent them on their way. And for good measure, it doesn't hurt to give them one more shot of fly spray as they walk out. With this group done, it was time to go back into the working corral and gather up the next group. As I pushed this group back into the tub, I noticed that I caught a black and white face heifer that had a somewhat bad limp on one of her hind legs. I decided I really didn't want to get her in the tub while she was limping like that, and that I probably needed to give her some more attention. So my plan was to sort of separate her out of this group and bring her back through the chute by herself later. I'll show you guys what I did to treat her in another video.
Come on, come on, come on, come on. Go back, go back, go back, go back, go back. Go back, go back. Go back. Ah.
Now you can hear a lot of whip work going on here, and that's not me cracking it on the injured heifer. I actually had a few cows that were behind me off camera, this group right here, and they were trying to break out as well. With everything in order once again, it was time to get back to work.
couple days later after giving the fly treatment, and I thought just to sort of bring this thing full circle, we walk around out here and check out the cows and see the level of fly activity that we can see out here. And I will say that at a first glance, one thing that I don't see a lot of is a lot of tail swishing, which is a good indicator that there aren't a ton of flies. This cow right here, number 15, I think was one of the worst as far as, see, she's agreeing with me. One of the worst that the flies were getting onto, which kind of brings up another point that's kind of interesting. Supposedly, I'm not sure about the science behind it, but some cows are more susceptible to horned flies, or that is to say that the horned flies like them better than others. And this number 15 here was one that the flies really liked. She was just covered. There wasn't hardly anything she could do to keep flies off of her. So let's take a little bit of a closer look at her now. So you can see she's got a couple on her face, not much, but for the most part, there really aren't too many on her. Now, I can't say that she is 100% fly free, but compared to what she looked like just a few days ago, that is a huge improvement. Just looking around out here, you just don't hardly see any tail swishing. A few days ago, that would not have been the case. Just about all you saw was tail swishing and them, you know, throwing their heads back, trying to clear the flies out. But yeah, looking through these cows now, there's a few flies, but nothing like it was before. You're always a camera ham, aren't you? In my mind, there's really no two ways about it. This chemical application was definitely effective, and I think there's probably not a better solution that would give you a quick turnaround like this did. Now, that being said, I don't really like putting all those chemicals on the animals, and I am interested in finding ways of reducing fly populations without having to do that. Now, a couple things I've considered. One is parasitic wasps. I'm not sure how well that's going to work on a pasture scenario like this. From what I have read and sort of know about that, that's really more of something that's going to be effective like in a feedlot, at a horse stable, somewhere where the animals are more confined and more concentrated. So I'm not sure if that's going to be a good solution for me out here. Another thing that I want to research a little bit more and learn more about is I think there are a certain type of bird that will kind of go with the cows wherever they go, and these birds will eat the flies. That to me would be probably the best scenario if it works the way that I hope that it would. But I just need to know what those birds are, for one, and for two, what kind of habitat I would need to make out here in order for them to stick around. And I'm not sure if that's like the kind of bird where if I build some houses or whatnot, that they would just show up, or is this the kind of bird that I'm going to need to import? Am I even able to do that? I don't know. There's still a lot that I need to figure out about that. If you guys have any other methods that you use to control flies, I'd love to hear them in the comments below, and I look forward to hearing what you guys have to say. Thanks for hanging out at the ranch with me today, guys, and I hope I'll see you again on Farmer Tyler Ranch.